Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
It's Tuesday morning, and you are in the Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler. Once again, the Lock Shop brought to you by our friends at Coolbet Canada. Stay cool, bet responsibly. If you sign up for an account at Coolbet, use the bonus code LOCKSHOP. You get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. If you're watching on the live stream on my Twitter account here at Nielsen TSN 1260, subscribe to the podcast so you have it at your convenience. All podcasting platforms, just search the Lock Shop, and we will get you taken care of. Huss, happy Tuesday, brother. How are you?
Oh, dude, doing very well. Looking forward to basically Jets Leafs a little later on this week. A couple days off for the home squad here. A couple interesting games last night as we continue to see what will become of this North Division. And once again, another missed opportunity to make some nice money betting on the Ottawa Senators against the Calgary Flames. They did it again last night with the Flames season on the line. Man, that team is going to look back at that series against Ottawa and say that is where it all fell apart this year.
How did that happen? Like, I know Ottawa has been better than I think we all expected, but they're still at the bottom of this thing. And if you're Calgary, I mean, last night, especially knowing what's on the line here, you need to get a little bit of help here from Montreal along the way, but you do have those three huge games coming up against the Montreal Canadiens. You got to be able to get it done here, and they didn't. They got doubled up 4-2. It just adds to these ongoing questions about the Flames moving forward, doesn't it?
Oh man, well, I mean, I was on with the guys in Calgary last Thursday, and they were coming off those 3 wins in a row. Started off with the win on the Saturday against the Oilers, then they go to Montreal and Toronto, and they get 3 points. And I thought maybe, just maybe, Flames Twitter would just be full of Undertaker gifts for the next 2 weeks because. They had the game against the Habs, which they needed to win. Then they had Ottawa last night, a Vancouver team coming out of 3.5 weeks in quarantine, and then 3 games in 4 nights at home against Montreal. That was their next 6 games. I mean, the path to getting back in it was right there. But the path did not involve losing head-to-head to Montreal in the first game, and it definitely didn't involve another regulation loss to the Ottawa Senators. So, it's... That to me, of the entire, all of the great stories in the North, that might be the most surprising. Just the lack of consistency in the Calgary Flames, and really, you look at this team with Daryl Sutter as opposed to with Ward, and it's the exact same things that are plaguing them. Playing well one night and then just not getting it together as a team, following in games that they should and have to win. So. I don't know. That offseason in Calgary will be one of the most interesting around the National Hockey League, if you ask me.
Yeah, a little bit different than what we got going up the road here in Alberta after the Oilers and Connor McDavid finally solved the Montreal Canadiens last night. McDavid doing it in absolutely brilliant fashion. The goal he scored last night was just classic peak Connor McDavid. What was crazy, though, and it was my line of the day on the Nielsen show yesterday, the under in this game. I mean, it opened at 6, I believe. I'm not too sure where it closed, but I saw it at 6. And I mean, Habs Oilers had under written all over it. How about this? Every single meeting this year they've had finished under the total. And the Oilers have now finished under. And this was the 2 best players and 2 highest scores in the entire league. Huss, they finished under in 9 consecutive games. I just don't know how the Oilers have become this under bet. And I don't know why the total keeps getting set at 6 and 6.5. I'm loving it.
Well, you must have been sweating it, though, in the third period when they started scoring every minute.
I was sitting there at the rink last night, and I've got people tweeting me, being like, Dusty, good call on the under, good call on the under. And I was about to hit retweet and be like, boom, no problem, easy money. And then they made it 4-1, and I was like, you bastards. That would have been an awful backdoor cover on the over if that would have hit last night. God.
Hey, you know what? A win's a win, and we move on. Hey, speaking of which, just before we get into the puck picks, Unicorns of Love, the Chicken Fighters came through, but Fun Plus Phoenix is on my esports suspended list for blowing what would have been one of the most incredible parlays. However, there was a bright side on the wide world of wagering, and I wasn't able to give this one out on the show because the event started on Friday. But when I was doing the extensive research that goes into the wide world of wagering on Thursday, got on it. Ricky Wysocki, the Socky bomb, 4-1 to win the Jonesboro Open on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So that one came through. We did hit the F1. Max Verstappen got in there on it, and a couple of the Aussie rules football as well. So it wasn't the near perfect week we had in the wide world of wagering. And as I said, couldn't give you the Socky bomb. If you're at all like me, who's never really played disc golf, but you're interested in learning more, follow Wysocki on Instagram. He's amazing. I've learned a lot about the sport through his Instagram feed. And this guy, for some reason, he's won back-to-back events. He's number one, and yet he was 4-1 and like third or fourth on the odds. So anyways, Ricky Wysocki, I'm dedicating this Tuesday edition of the Lock Shop to you for your big win. And we may have to get some more. I may have to tweet out a disc golf pick before next week's Lock Shop because there's money to be made. And I'll tell you what, if you get in onto YouTube, you can see the rounds after they happen. They actually have some pretty good coverage of this disc golf tour.
How close are you to actually becoming a disc golf guy? Like, are you going to be texting me in the summer and be like, hey, buddy, we got to change the Friday episode of the Lock Shop because I got a late tee time on the disc golf course?
Well, the funniest thing is one of the disc golf course here in Winnipeg is called Happy Land, and it's right across the street from Teasers, the longest running strip bar in the club. So I don't know, when things get back to normal, that might be a new little Friday afternoon routine, Dusty. I'm not going to. I can't really dispute that, but I will tell you, just to give you an idea of how the wide world of wagering has changed some of my betting habits. I'm just looking at my bets placed on Coolbet. These are the sports that I bet in order without any doubles. We went with a hockey pick, then we went to baseball, then we had curling, then we had Ricky Wysocki and disc golf, then we had the esports parlay, then we had Aussie rules football, then the Jake Paul Ben Askren fight. I went 9 straight bets of a different sport before getting on another hockey game. So we're really covering all the bases here right now, and it's been going well. So Friday, we will have another big edition of the Wide World of Wagering. I'm looking forward to your Tuesday feature, the No Red Light Special today, and I will be on that tonight. Only
5 players don't have to score tonight to get plus money. I've got those names for you coming up a little bit later on in this episode of the Lock Shop. Just quickly back to that esports parlay that you just missed on.
Yes.
The team that beat the team that you needed to win, were they not the Never Give Ups or whatever?
Yeah, Royal Never Give Up. Yeah. Royal Never Give Up. We're going to be looking, that might be a team that we'll kind of focus on as a team that does in fact live up to their name, never gives up. And one is about a plus 220 underdog to spoil the first ever esports parlay in the wide world of wagering. So anyways, tough. I do want to give a stick tap to the Unicorns of Love and the Chicken Fighters for coming through. Fun Plus Phoenix, you're on the shit list, and we'll see what we can do. I think I might have to go back to the esports on Friday to get back in. We were this close, and man, that is yet another sport that I have won single bets on Rocket League betting esports, but we've yet to put a parlay together in the Lock Shop. So for Friday's Wide World of Wagering, I'm going to be all over the digital world.
All right, let's get to our puck picks. Couple of hockey games tonight in the National Hockey League that we like. Huss, take her away, buddy. What do you got?
Well, this is interesting. I was going through the numbers last night, and I can give you an update on this number if you'd like to follow me, because it's even better than it was last night. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. It is the New York Islanders hosting their crosstown rivals, the New York Rangers. Now, listen, the Islanders have been the class of this division all season long. They are a team that is clearly greater than the sum of its parts. And I know a lot of people are sort of horny for the Rangers right now because they've seen them win a lot of games. Let's just go back and see what they've done. Oh, they've won 4 in a row. That's great. Oh, all 4 games was against New Jersey. So I think it's important to kind of note who these teams have been playing on when they've been getting on this roll. For the Islanders' part, they had a little bit of a lull. I think they're kind of now bringing in Zajac and Palmieri, getting a little bit more comfortable. And listen, they still have a lot to play for right now. So I like the Islanders in this game, and it was minus 128 last night. It's down to minus 115 right now. So if patience was good, I'll put that bet in now as opposed to last night and get a much better number. So minus 115 on the Islanders in the crosstown battle. I think they're the better team. I think they'll be focused, and I think the Rangers are moving up a weight class, going up against New York and Barry Trotz's squad tonight. This is not the New Jersey Devils. Frankly, two of the best players on the Devils, the reason why they were so undermanned, are now on the Islanders. So that's just the way things go after the trade deadline.
More on the Devils in your no red light special coming up a little bit later on as I ride the hot pony today in the no red light special. I'm on the Florida Panthers minus 217 here. The Columbus Blue Jackets, I think, have basically given up on the season. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. You know, Torts has that ability midway through the season to suck a couple of games out of his team. But I think at this point, a lot of these guys have simply just turned their back on this guy. I think they've lost 6 in a row. Florida is 6-0-1 against the Blue Jackets in the head-to-head meeting so far this year. That includes the victory that they got last night. What was the final there? 4-2, I believe, last night between these two clubs. So I'm on the Panthers to finish off a near complete sweep here against the Columbus Blue Jackets team that I haven't watched a lot of them, but I've been following along, and it seems like there's a little bit of a checkout going on there with Columbus right now. So, and with what Florida's battling with here, Florida, Carolina, Tampa got a lot to play for down the stretch here, as opposed to a Columbus team that's just probably trying to get their coach fired at this point. So I'm on the Panthers minus 217 to pick up their 7th win of the year against the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't know if Domi's going to be healthy scratch, or is he getting back in tonight, or is it going to be Laine's turn to be healthy scratch? I don't know what's going on there, Huss.
Oh God, it's hard for me to even talk about Columbus. I love Patrick Laine. He was so great here in Winnipeg, and it's just sad to see what's happened with him and that team after the trade this year. Like, to put it into perspective of how bad Columbus has been over the last month, Dusty, they've lost 4 in a row, as you mentioned. And heck, if you're thinking you don't want to hold your nose and play the minus 217, take a look at the puck line, because they've lost 4-2, 5-1, 4-1 in their last 3 games. They have not won since beating the Lightning 7 games ago. So they've lost 6 in a row, and they have won 2 of their last 15 games. And included in that is back-to-back losses to the Red Wings, back-to-back losses to the Blackhawks. So listen, I'm not sure whether this is a purposeful tank, but it certainly looks like that right now. Nothing's going right. Torts won't be back. It'll be interesting to see what Laine's future is and just how different that team looks. And to be honest, at what point does Jarmo Kekalainen start getting some heat from ownership with where they are? But you could do a lot worse than fading the Blue Jackets right now, as we just kind of laid out. They have been absolutely horrible for the last month and a half.
You mentioned the puck line. I got that number for you. Plus 113. Plus money on the Panthers to win by 2. I mean, like you just laid it out with Columbus on top of everything I said. Minus 1.5 at plus 113, buddy. That might be worth a little sprinkle tonight as well.
Oh, and by the way, Florida's really good. And you know who's looking good in Florida?
Sam Bennett?
His former Calgary Flames, Sam Bennett.
I know.
Last night, sort of making an impression there early. And to be honest, I think that was a great pickup for Florida. I mean, you can debate what they gave up to get him and later on, but for a team that is competitive in a really tough division, if they don't get first place, they'll have to play either Carolina or Tampa in the first round, and then presumably the other team in the second round. He's a guy I'd love to have on my team for the playoffs. So pretty interesting deal, and a nice start for Bennett with Panthers.
You're inside the lock shop here on a Tuesday morning with Nielson and Hustler. Follow him on Twitter at Hustlerama. I'm at Nielsen TSN 1260. If you're watching on the live stream right now, feel free to chime in. Let us know what you're on tonight. Now let us know what you're avoiding tonight. And download it, subscribe to the podcast, The Lock Shop. It's all brought to you by our friends at Coolbet Canada. Follow them on Twitter at Coolbet Canada and find Coolbet Chris. He's pretty entertaining Twitter account. He'll join us on Friday again. All right. Interesting, because we're both going away from the National Hockey League in the dog pound tonight, Huss. And I went back up and down that NHL card tonight, and there just really wasn't anything that I loved. So I decided to branch out a little bit here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it has been difficult. And I'd like to point out, give myself the Barry Horowitz right now, the self pat on the back, 15-7 right now in the dog pound. I was thinking about this morning, Dusty. My goal, if I can pull this off, is to get 5 more wins before I get 3 more losses. I would love to hit the 20 win mark in betting underdog, money line underdogs before getting to 10 losses. So that is my personal goal going forward. And hopefully
let's do it.
Big Korean, my guy, Hyunjin Ryu, can deliver tonight against the Red Sox and Edwin Rodriguez. I will say, I was originally going to take Carolina against Tampa in this evening's game. They lost last night in overtime. I couldn't believe that game opened as a pick'em. It was minus 109 on either side. Now, that has changed, not surprisingly. Carolina's minus 103. I might put a little sprinkle on that. But as I mentioned, going to the Blue Jays, and the Jays now are actually plus 103. So they are a true plus money underdog. And they've got the big guy on the mound. I mean, he has been so good. I mean, the Jays have sort of been up and down. Sometimes the bats are going crazy. My God, Vladdy's been making contact. Bo Bichette in some games. But then they went into a take on the Royals in the K. Had one good game, a couple off ones in that Sunday game. Robbie Ray, the roller coaster of Ray on the hill. But it got them to the late innings, and they just weren't able to get any runs over the plate. So I think with the day off, they'll be ready to go. Big game against Boston, who had that miserable start and then rattle off 9 in a row. So listen, I'm a huge Ryu guy. I think that he is absolutely ready to go 3-0. He's got 19 strikeouts and 19 innings right now. He is delivering exactly what they hoped that he would when they signed him to be their ace. So I'm going to take the Blue Jays now at plus 103 on Coolbet in the dog pound today.
It's funny because when you sent it to me last night, it was plus 100. I threw it in. When I looked at it a little bit later on, I was working on some of my picks. It had moved to about minus 104. So I went the other way. And now you said this morning it's sitting at plus 103. So there's a little bit of movement on that Jays line, but they do come in as an underdog here as Huss tries to pick up win number 17 in the dog pound. I'm going to the Association tonight. Hashtag Association City. They will not have Kevin Durant, but they will have Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving. And look, I'm not too sure what's going to happen with the Nets here down the stretch because they've got their big three, but their big three essentially has not played together at all. And I'm not too sure when they're going to play together again before the playoffs anyway. But when you've got Kyrie Irving, you've got some of the other depth guys that they do have now. Their depth took a hit here when they decided to load up, but they still got guys who can score the ball off the bench who have an elevated role right now. So I don't mind the Nets. I think I've hit on the Nets as a rare underdog and another one of my dog pound picks in the past. So I'll go back there again. I sense a big Kyrie game coming here. So I'll go Nets plus 2.5 against the Pelicans team they've got a lot of talent, but they're just sort of stuck in neutral right now. So I'll go with the Nets here plus 2.5.
Did you see Zion after the Knicks? Basically, after the game against the Knicks, basically do the come and get me press conference where he said how much he loved them. It's his favorite place. Except New Orleans, of course. This is the mecca of basketball. This is where I'd like to play. If you're a Pelicans fan, you're just like going, oh my God, do we start this now? Can we wait a little bit?
Yeah. Do you try to pretend it's going to work like with Anthony Davis? Or do you just say, we move Zion now, let's get him to the Knicks. We'll get 9 draft picks and move on. He dropped his new shoe today. His first shoe, the Zion 1. And actually, it's a pretty nice looking sneaker.
Nike guy?
Jordan's got him. Yeah, okay, yeah, good. Air Jordans.
After his shoe blew up in the NCAA's, they managed to work around that. That was a bit of a bad PR.
That hurt him. He was out after that. Like his shoe went and his knee went. That was brutal.
By the way, Nets plus 120 on the money line if you want to touch it on the money line tonight to actually get the win in New Orleans.
All right, let's go double play parlay. As we head to the Diamond here on a Tuesday. Huss, I like your pick, buddy. I'm not going to lie. I was looking at it myself. What do you got?
Yeah, well, this is a kind of a bet both on how good I think the Angels are and just how brutal the Rangers pitching staff is. And, we've seen that again in a few series so far. Big crooked numbers put up on the wrong side of the Rangers scoreboard. So, looking at this game, if you just want to take it, if you just want to take it right up on the spread, I've somehow lost. Is this game off the board now all of a sudden?
Let me take a look.
Oh, no, here we are. Minus 179 is a little bit of a later game. Minus 179 just straight up on the money line. But, the way the Angels are swinging the bats, and as I mentioned, more so the way the Rangers are pitching, I think there'll be some home cooking with the Angels at home. Maybe my boy Ohtani can go yard a couple times. So I'm actually taking minus 1.5. And originally when I made it was minus 110. You can actually get plus money on that. Plus 102 right now for Angels minus 1.5. That's going to be my part of the double play this afternoon.
And I'm going Dodgers and Mariners. This line has moved quite a bit since I slotted it in here last night at 200. And I understand why. I believe Kyle Lewis returns today for the Mariners, who are first place in their division. Mariners are having a nice season. They're getting back a guy who obviously was sensational as a rookie last year. This number, I've got it as minus 200 on the stream here today, but it's actually at minus 176 right now on the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, for me, this is more of a spot play on the Dodgers. They've lost 2 in a row after, I think, winning 7 or 8. They'd won 8 or 9 in a row, but 7 in a row had been by at least 2 runs or more. Like, they were basically in full control of things for a little while. So I look at the Dodgers, and to me, they're just too good a baseball team to lose 3 games in a row, even though the Mariners are going to get a little bit of a boost here today. And Lewis returning has essentially kind of moved this line from minus 200 to minus 176. So, I'm gonna stick with the Dodgers here to avoid a 3rd consecutive loss. This would be the 2nd in the row against the first place Mariners. So I'll go Dodgers. You can get it now at minus 176 as opposed to the minus 200 that we've got on the graphic today.
Yeah, and just on the you mentioned it, it's Urias pitching. He's 2-0. He's had a nice start for the Dodgers. They are 13-4. And if you saw that series between the Dodgers and the Padres on the weekend was just phenomenal. Though, those teams are going to be battling it out head to head the rest of the way. And I do like the fact the playoff format that maybe those teams could actually meet in the NLCS despite being in the same division, because to me, they're the class of the NL right now. And it is Ohtani on the hill for the Angels tonight. He is must-see TV going up against Jordan Lyles, who has got just about a 5 ERA. So I'm liking those picks. To be honest with you, I think I might throw the run line on both of those two and juice it up a little bit. But you got the Angels now plus money, plus 103 on that. And if you want the Dodgers on the run line, it's minus 114.
Minus 114 for the Dodgers on the run line. All right, let's go. We'll save the no red light special to wrap up here. Let's go to the Zurich Classic. And this is the first time I think we've done golf picks where I couldn't go away. I'm with you on one of them, and then I did decide to mix it up. But Huss, take it away on Xander here in Cantlay, because this is I love this pick. I think at plus 800 we got to be on it.
Yeah, here's the thing with the Zurich. And I was listening to Pat Mayo, who's one of the best in the biz when it comes to golf handicapping and fantasy and all that. And he said, I would have been fine because DraftKings for a while, they got a DraftKings sponsor, just didn't do DraftKings for this event. And he said, I'll be honest, I could have handled a bye week here, but we've got to do it. And then I go through all the stats and you're like, how the hell do you know? It's partners. It's a different format than any stats we have on pretty much anything. So listen, there is always the possibility that we'll get a team from way off to come in. But, focusing in on this, looking at the leaderboard, the Cantlay Shoffley team that we're both on just reached out. Now, originally, Palmer and Rahm, who were the defending champs, were a little bit less at plus 750. These guys are now co-favorites at 8-1.
Oh, it moved, hey?
Yeah, there's just just the Rahm and Palmer came back a little bit, so they're also 8-1 right now. But when you look at the teams and the way they're constructed, just simply on name value, accomplishments as individual golfers, both these guys, this is clearly the team. And John Rahm's right there, but Ryan Palmer, who's a fine PGA Tour player, not quite in the the stratosphere of Cantlay and Shoffley. I think Shoffley will be looking forward to getting back at it, having some fun, and moving on from another second place. Great finish, but not good enough at the Masters. And I think Pat Cantlay is going to come back being, really motivated to get his game back, because he was a guy a lot of people thought would contend and just wasn't there in the mix at all on the weekend. So, that team together it's hard not to look at them at 8-1. They were almost an auto pick. And then the other one was Morikawa and Wolf. Morikawa is just, he's such an incredible player. And he had a brutal, by the way, Stuart Sink winning for the second time on tour this year at 47 with his kid on the bag. I mean, what a great story that is. And it really is incredible. I know there's still people mad at him for beating 59-year-old Tom Watson. What was it, 12 years ago in the British Open? I've never forgiven him that, the old Tom Watson guys. But he's writing his own great old guy story right now on tour. So shout out to Sink. But I thought Morikawa had a really disappointing final round. I don't even think he broke par. Wasn't able to press Sink at all. But he's still playing quite well. He'll be there. And the combination of he and Wolf, two young guys that have only been out on tour together for a couple years, they came in as rookies at the same time. They both won on tour. You throw a number like 14-1 on that team in a weird event like this, and I'm going to get on it. So, I think the chalky pick, Schauffele and Cantlay, you'd have to think that those guys should be in the mix on Sunday. And I really like Morikawa and Wolf as well.
And just to clarify, was it round 1 and 3 or 4 ball, and then alternate shot for 2 and 4?
Yeah, exactly. So, like the Rahm, I was reading up on the last year's tournament. Rahm and Palmer were tied with another group going into the alternate shot. Rahm and Palmer set a course record or event record for the alternate shot round. They were amazing. But the other guys that were tied, and it escapes me who it was, shot 79. So the alternate shot format can really turn things on its end very quickly. So, just because your guys are there after Saturday, you're going to need to tune in on Sunday. And I'm a huge Ryder Cup guy. I love teams format. I love playing by holes. So this actually, if you can get a guy in and you're interested in it, because it's not one of these events that really is going to matter big time for the FedEx Cup or anything. Although players, you get the 2-year exemption if you win this tournament. You don't get a Masters spot. But for some of the fringe guys on the PGA Tour, this is a huge event because they can actually stay on tour for 2 more years if they get the win.
My other one, in addition to everything you said about Schauffele and Cantlay here, Brennan Todd and Chris Kirk right now, plus 2,200. And if you think at all, that if you believe in all, chemistry matters in this event, then there's probably no two guys who have better chemistry than these two guys. They've been friends for 15 years. They were college roommates. They won a national title together at the University of Georgia. So they've got the chemistry taken care of. On top of that, Kirk enters this event with back-to-back top 10 finishes. He's finished top 10 in 3 of his last 5 tournaments. He's also on a streak right now, 209 consecutive holes without a 3-putt. So he's putting very well right now. It's the longest active streak on tour. And then for Brendan Todd, he ranks 3rd in the tour in strokes gained with the putter. He also leads all players in driving accuracy. So they've got the chemistry. They've got the analytics to back it up as well. And they're a pretty good number here at 22-1. So I'm going to throw a little bit on Todd and Kirk here in addition to Schauffele and Cantlay. And let's be honest, I'll probably be in on your 14-1 with Morikawa and Wolf. But I like everything coming together here for Kirk and Todd.
Yeah, this is always a tournament that I'm a little lighter on as opposed to some of the normal events just because the information is not really there. I will throw out a couple other interesting names. I was talking to Jeff Feinberg, who works with Mayo. He quite likes Victor Hovland and Christopher Ventura, who are 39-1. I believe these guys have played together dating back to junior golf. I don't know. We had a picture. They were like 10 or 11 years old playing together. So that was an interesting one. And then former President's Cup teammates, I love Benny An and Sung J M. They're playing together as well at 39-1. So there might be a couple sprinkles, long shots. But as far as just making a couple picks of teams that we think really do have the best chance to win based on the numbers we've got, I know there's a reason why we're both like an X and Pat Cantlay and Morikawa and Wolf. We'll see whether the young guns can go and challenge for another PGA Tour title to add to their mantles.
All right, let's wrap up this Tuesday edition of the Lock Shop with your No Red Light special. We hit one for you last week. I think it was 6 players last week. A lot of the times here when I do these No Red Lights, you got to go 6 or 7 players deep to get to the plus money. But ladies and gentlemen, that is not the case today. Only 5 guys needed to get to the magic number.
Right now, like you should all get your pens out and let's start marking these down. All right, Dusty, who's not scoring tonight?
These are players we will be cheering to not succeed tonight. Give me Kevin Rooney, minus 714. Many of you listening right now won't even know what team he plays for, and that's okay. He's minus 714. Huss's hand is up. Hey, Huss, I had to double check again. I think it's the third time in the last 2 weeks I've had to been like, what team is Rooney on again? The Islanders or the Rangers? But he's on the Rangers. To be honest with you, I don't know why we're even getting a number for a fourth liner here, but he's playing on the fourth line. He's at minus 714. So let's give us Kevin Rooney, minus 714 to start your no red light special. Then we're going to go to the blue line. A guy plays a ton, does not score very often at minus 769. Boston Bruins, Charlie McAvoy. I'm going to throw McAvoy in here as well. So you got minus 769 on, or minus 714 on Rooney, minus 769 on McAvoy. Back to the New Jersey Devils. Went there last week. We will go back again. I love Finns, and I love this guy because he's not going to score tonight. Yanni Kukkonen. We're back to Kukkonen at minus 625.
Kukkonen has become a mainstay on the no red light special in its infancy here on the Lock Shop. Welcome back, Yanni.
Then we're going to go with a guy that, with free agency still coming up in the National Hockey League, I still deem him as a possible future Edmonton Oiler, was rumored to be heading here at the deadline. Luke Glendening of the Detroit Red Wings. Tough to score goals when the only good thing you do is win faceoffs, and that's it. So I'm on Glendening. He's at minus 909. He's the longest shot in this edition. And then the number that really bumps this thing up and gets me above a plus, and I don't know why this number isn't more in the minus 7, minus 8 range, because his whole career he doesn't score. He's an assist guy. Joe Thornton, minus 455. Minus 455 for Joe Thornton. So tonight, your no red light special as follows. Kevin Rooney, minus 714. Charlie McAvoy, minus 769. Yanni Kukkonen, minus 625. Luke Glendening, minus 909. And the cherry on top, Joe Thornton, minus 455. That will pay plus 102 for you tonight.
Even like a plus money on that. 5 guys, no red lights, finishing it off with the beard and Joe Thornton at minus 455. That's a key number. You got to get him in there on that. And I got to tell you, I'm in on this. I will be riding Dusty. Let's get a number. Let's get a W. And even if, as long as Thornton doesn't score, I am quite interested to see what the Leafs have in and the Canucks have in game 2 after coming back. Tell you what, that was a really cool moment on Sunday to see Vancouver, after all they've been through, actually get that win. And I can tell you that Edmonton and Winnipeg were both quite happy that they didn't bank the 2 points. What
would be the bet tonight for the Leafs? Like, what would you feel comfortable with? Would you go money, like puck line, minus 1.5? Like, do you think they bounce back that much tonight? I don't want it at just, what are they? Is it like minus 3 something to just straight up win? I think you got to get some value out of it somewhere.
Oh, yeah. It's minus 333 to win the game. Minus 120 on the puck line, minus 1.5. And to be honest, I wouldn't even be afraid of maybe dropping the plus 145 on 2.5. But there's no way you listen, if you want to parlay it with a bunch of other games and, cross your fingers, I think the Leafs win tonight. And I would imagine that, considering, the game on Sunday, the lead that they had, although they will be without Zach Hyman, Nylander's apparently benched because he was late for a team meeting. So who knows? Maybe the Canucks are about to author one of the great Cinderella stories of all time. The funniest thing is, because of how bad Montreal and how bad Calgary's been over the last month, these guys have played 1 game in 4 weeks and have seen their playoff chances go from 6% to 18% by doing nothing.
Which is just insane. The best they've played all season is when they didn't play at all. Think about that for a second, buddy.
Maybe they'll have to get all those games in after all. They might mean something depending on what happens. But anyways, credit to the Canucks for that win. I'm not expecting them to do it tonight, and I have a feeling that'll be a avalanche of cash on the Leafs tonight, including some of those puck line numbers we just talked about.
That's what's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk today, buddy.
Well, today, Winnipeg dude and former NHLer Dale Weiss is going to come and hang out with us for a while. So we'll check in on Weezy. He's doing a bunch of work covering the Habs in Montreal for Habs Tonight. And our old pal Matt Liable from the early 1290 days coming on. And then we're getting ready for a very special guest on Wednesday that we'll be teasing a little bit later on today. But we've been working on this guy for a while and very excited to have him coming up on Wednesday. So yeah, if you're watching live, we'll be live on Winnipeg Sports Talk YouTube coming up at 1 o'clock Central. Be in the podcast feeds later on. So check that out.
Excellent, buddy. We'll catch up to you on Friday, man. Good episode.
Yeah, you got it. Listen, the next 3 days is literally the minute this lock shop ends, Dusty, I'll do Winnipeg Sports Talk, and then it's all into research for the wide world of wagering. Although I might take a time out because MLB The Show came out. It's finally on Xbox. I got it last night. I'll be playing it this evening. If you ever get your online thing fixed on your machine, we can actually get some games.
I think I need a new machine entirely. Yeah, and I've been dropping the hints here for my 40th birthday, which is next week, but I don't think anybody in the house is picking up on it. So that's okay.
I'll send
what am I going to do?
I'll send a text.
All right, buddy. We'll see you later, man.
Right on, pal. Have a good one.